So we are live now.
Good evening and namaskar to all the people who have joined, all the members who have joined this session of Sarthak. We are here to deliberate on Workplace Health and Safety Day, and I have with me very wonderful panel members here. Vijay ji, Mr. Vijay Jodha. Vijay ji, is it possible you put it on? Put your video on.
Video is on, audio is on as well just now.
Okay. Sorry.
You're not
Sorry.
getting the video?
Yes. No, I can see. Jasmine ji, are we waiting for people to join, or shall we go ahead with discussion?
So please go ahead.
Okay. So let me first start by introducing our key panelist, Mr. Vijay Jodha. Vijay ji is an eminent writer, photographer, and filmmaker based out at Gurgaon. He has produced 5 books, and his films have been broadcast in 75 channels in 195 countries. And he has international, fame, and being shown on BBC, CNN, and Discovery channels. His projects have received over 100 honors in 24 countries. And in 2018, Vijay ji was given to present a film addressing the delegates from close to 193 countries at UNESCO headquarters in Paris on occasion of International Day of People with Disabilities. Vijay ji has trained 3 photographers for International Olympics in France, and was also given to be part of experts by the International Olympics Federation. Vijay ji's photographers are currently being exhibited internationally in the Museum of Gloucester in England and Domaine de Longchamp in Paris. Vijay ji, would you please give us insight into movie making business, and how Divyang Jan or people with disability face challenges in this, and how they cope up, and what is your view on this domain in terms of opportunity for the Divyang Jan?
Thank you, Sunil ji. First of all, my gratitude and appreciation of Sarthak and NAI, which has organized this forum. Today is a very important day, which is dealing with the safety issue in the workplace, as declared by the United Nations. So it's to highlight, all the issues around workplace, and of course we are focusing on the differently able. So Sunil ji, and for the benefit of all our my panelists, I was focusing on my own experience working in the media, television, film, photography. These are the industries I'm largely involved with. We have a variety of challenges in the case of India. Obviously, you may be aware, we have barely 89% of Indians are not working in the organized sector. Just about 11% are, which means that just about 10-11% of the workforce in India has access to pension, insurance, whatever you want to call, PTF, educational lines, all the things which any working person should be able to take for granted, and which they do in a lot of the so-called advanced countries. Unfortunately, we don't have that, and it is even more pronounced in case of the weaker section, in the case of the differently able. That is a sad reality, number one. Number two issue we have is this, that to make things worse, a lot of these industries are not very well organized and not very transparent, as we know. So that makes it even more complicated. So whether we are talking about the differently able wanting to break into the business as far as the television or film industry goes, it's very, very hard. And to make it harder, we have this very, very strong prejudice against this particular section. It's a very, very sad reality in India. So as I discussed earlier with you, that I would try to focus more on this issue, whether our media, because, we are living in a media, not just us, all over the world, we are very strongly influenced by media. Media images tell us about things that we do not maybe experience firsthand. My idea of some country or some community or some individual I have never met, if I have no person in the family who happen to have is physically or mentally challenged, I have no idea. So I'm relying on the media to tell me. So if I see something positive, uplifting, it is going to give me a certain perception. If I don't see that, then I will have perhaps a very negative and prejudiced kind of view. This is a story in most people. In my case, of course, because I've been working with this and I have a lot of friends who happen to be dealing with all kinds of challenges. So it's not something that I'm not aware of. But based on that experience, when you look at the cinema in India, which is the single biggest source of entertainment for all of us, it is also the source of culturalization. It is also the source of what do you call, all your fashion trends and all those kind of things. And it is also the biggest conveyor of the values, whether they are good values, negative values, regressive, progressive, traditional, modern, whatever it may be. Fact is that for good or ill, cinema plays a very big role. And in our case, the biggest cinema, we have multiple cinemas of India, the Tamil cinema or Telugu cinema or whatever. But by far the biggest and the most dominant one in India has been the Hindi cinema, which we call Bollywood popularly. So I have looked at some films on coming out of Bollywood. So we would just look at what kind of prejudice is being promoted from this. So maybe you can look at some of the images that which are, I'm not talking about fringe films, I'm talking about films which are blockbusters. So films which have been seen and appreciated by a lot of people across India. And now because Bollywood has a very big footprint across the world, in Middle East, in North America, in UK, Canada, any place where you have a lot of Indians, Pakistanis, Middle Eastern people. There are a lot of people who like watching these films. So it's a very big influencer, certainly. So Jasmine, can we run the slides, please? If you look at the very first one, please, that first one, which is
Yes, sir.
Bollywood Houseful. We have 2-3 slides of this film. Now, this film which we are looking at, we are not going to the clips. I would have loved to do that, but I think that there are a lot of technical challenges. So we are just looking at some posters only. So in case of this first one, if you see Houseful, there's this movie which came out, a very big comedy, supposedly a very big hit. And what you had was that all these three people, for those who have not seen this movie, these three characters we have, youth icons of their time, all three were pretending to be hearing impaired as well as visually impaired. Why? To get girlfriends. That's what, absurd as it may sound, that was the whole premise of the movie. So trying to win sympathy to go ahead in life, or whatever the courtship, if you want to call it that was the premise, and that was supposed to be the comedy of the film. These are very, very cringy films, and they are really worth a sociological study, because they've been made by some very, very prominent people. We can look at the next slide as well, please, from the same movie. Image number 2, again from this movie. And what happens is just that these people somehow manage to win the hearts of these wonderful looking ladies, and they manage to convince them, and they're to be married and all of that. These three are all sisters, and then their father puts his foot down, basically because he says that I don't want my daughters to be marrying physically disabled people. That is the central conflict of the film, if you will. And luckily for him, luckily for the girls and for the movie audiences, and unlucky for the Divyang community, it turns out that they're not actually disabled. So that's supposed to be a very good thing which has happened. So everyone is saved, kind of. So that is the story in short. If you look at this next film, can we run slide number 4, 5, please? 3 and 4, please. Yeah, this is Crazy. Again, this film again has sorry. We'll run this one. Yeah, Crazy again has the same issue. You have these 4 characters. All 4 are supposed to be mentally challenged, and they have different kinds of mental challenge, the disability issues. And the comedy in this movie is coming from their interacting with each other. So that is what is being made into a fun kind of thing. And it's all obviously very, very, not only just exaggerated, it is all very, very rubbish, I would call it, because it's not really going into what normal symptoms are for people who have these issues at all. So it is conveying a wrong impression about the ailment or the issue, as well as the way they are to be treated. So that was the whole comedy around this film. If you look at the next lot, can we see the next slide, please? Tom, Dick, Harry. Yeah, this we have. This again, for example, and you can run the next one also, please. This typical Bollywood movie. Sorry, we'll run the previous one. Yeah, this is a typical. Actually, we'll come back to this later. Let's look at the next slide, please. Yeah, this one again. You have this that these three people, each of them have a different. So one person has a hearing impairment, other person is mute, and someone has got a visual impairment. So basically, they try to play on this whole idea. That is the movie in short. This one again, a very, very big hit. So let's look at the next one, please. Again, these three characters, Tom, Dick, and Harry is what. Next one, please. Yeah. Now this movie again, a typical Bollywood. You can say like a triangle. Two very, very prominent. These are the two biggest stars we have in Bollywood, perhaps one of the biggest in the history of our cinema. Very, very wealthy, famous, etc. And you have this lady there. So again, this whole courtship business. In this case, you don't have disability here. Let's look at the next slide, please. Oh, okay, this has got a little mixed up. So this is again from the previous movie I said with these three people. We'll look at the next slide, please. Yeah. So this previous film, which I mentioned, Mujhse Shaadi Karogi, in that you have two men who are trying to court this woman. And it's a typical, run-of-the-mill kind of so-called thing. And the comic relief in the film is coming via Mr. Kader Khan, one of our senior most actors, veteran of hundreds of films. He's now passed away, of course. I think he's done like 200-300 movies. Very, very big script writer, dialogue writer, part of a lot of prominent projects in the history of Bollywood. And what he was doing essentially was he is playing a disabled person, and every scene he had a different disability. So that was supposed to be the comedic element in this particular movie. It was very, very cringy, but that is just how it was. So you have these kinds of films made which are furthering stereotypes. And now we'll try to look at something which is a bit more positive. So let's look at the next few slides, please. Yeah. This is again, as I mentioned, three of them having three different impairment, and that was the comedy between Tom, who's supposed to be hearing impaired, Dick, who's supposed to be visually impaired, and Harry is not able to speak. So that's what it was. Next one, please. We'll come back. We'll go to the next one, please. Next. Yeah. Now these are we'll stick with the previous one, please. These are some of the better movies that you had, which is this Koshish, as you may be aware. This was a very path-breaking movie which came out a long time back. I think came out in 1972. And this was made by Gulzar. And this was a very incredible movie. I remember watching it myself as a kid. That makes me very old, of course, but I saw it in the cinema as a child. And this was the first movie which exposed people to the world of the hearing impaired. Most people had no idea in India at all. We didn't have TV that time. Of course, we didn't have internet at all. That how do they communicate? So this film was the first one which showed that this whole business of sign language, which people had no idea. So this exposed them to a very, very important facet of the life of the hearing impaired. All of this within the trappings of so-called commercial cinema. Film had songs, it had mainstream actors, Sanjeev Kumar, Jaya Bhaduri, the big stars of those days, Gulzar Saab, again a very top, our songwriter, director, scriptwriter, etc. He was the one who made this. And CCP, of course, CCP were one of the biggest distributors and producers of Bombay industry at that point. So this is what they did, and this was a very, very beautiful movie, despite whatever the challenges they had. And it was a very sensitively told story. I think it was a path-breaking film in history of Bollywood as far as the differently able go. We'll look at the next slide, please. I think there's another of the still from that. Okay. So this one is Sparsh, which again came out in 1980. Sai Paranjpe was very well known for having made some very amazing small budget for very, very sensitively and authentically produced films. Sai was very well known for the fact that she stepped out of the studios and went across to actual locations to shoot most of her films. So it was not a very what do you call a typical cliched studio business. In this case, she did go and work with a school for the visually impaired. Naswin Shah, who was the biggest of actors at that time in the art house cinema, and Shabana Azmi, also a very top actress. Both of them had come together for this project. She's able to see he's visually impaired. And it's a very, very wonderful story because it was a very path-breaking film because it showed that, not only the real world of people on the margins, but also for the fact that, which was again an idea which a lot of people had and they still have that. Like if you have a family, I've seen it for myself, I'm sure some of you may have too, that you have somebody in the family, you have whatever, 3, 4 children, one of them has some issues, and then you hope that, okay, he's visually impaired. So let's hope we find somebody like that to get him married off to or whatever. So that kind of very, very regressive and limiting idea was something this film broke through that idea that, it doesn't have to be that way at all. Two people are there, they are attracted to each other. It doesn't matter where they are coming from or what the issues they have. So it was a very, very wonderful film, and it was a very sensitive portrayal from the inside. It was showing what do the disabled people see, or what do they make of the non-disabled, how do they have to be treated, what is the right way, not the pitying kind of thing or any of that stuff. So as equals. So that was something which this movie really highlighted. We'll just look at the next slide, please. This again, Tare Zameen Pe was a very big blockbuster. Amir Khan was the one who did this, and that movie would not have been made if not for his role in such a big way. It was a big hit. Again, a first movie dealing with learning disabilities, which most people are not aware of. Most of the time, what happens is that they assume that the child is not applying himself or herself sufficiently. That is why these problems are happening. And by the time you manage to figure out, it's usually too late to intervene to deal with the situation. In this context, I would like to mention Sarthak is one of the first organizations we have in India, which is actually looking at early intervention. So it's trying to address this issue in some manner. This movie was a very wonderful, very sensitively put together. I had only one issue, and I was not the one. I remember I had gone to some, a jury where we are selecting movies dealing with these issues. And I remember there was a jury member who had a daughter like that. And she was mentioning this, that what happens is people start thinking, again, wrongly, that if you are, lacking abilities in one faculty is weak or missing, it is overcompensated in some other area. And she was talking about it that, she met some mother and who had some issue with the child and said, मेरा बेटा जो है वो पढ़ाई में तो कमजोर है, पेंटिंग भी नहीं करना अच्छी जानता है, तो वो क्या करें. So it's a very, so that was one drawback I thought of the movie. It was doing this, that if so that whole extraordinariness, a lot of times people do say that, I don't buy into it. But that was what the film was highlighting in a subtle way. So that was one issue. Otherwise, a real fabulous film. We'll look at the next slide, please. This is, I think, the Koshish which we saw earlier. I think they got a little mixed up, but yes, these are the principal characters, Sanjeev Kumar and Jaya Bhaduri, who were playing the couple in the movie and who were, communicating via sign language and all of that. It was a very beautiful movie because it was running through the whole drama of a normal couple coming together and a lot of other issues. So it was dealing in a very, very straightforward and very mainstream manner, a very, very fringe issue. So it was a very important movie for that reason. Jasmine, we'll look at the next slide, please. So this again, Tare Zameen Par, which we looked at just now, and we look at the next one as well. And next slide, please. Margarita with Straw. This is a very good movie. Shonali Bose is somebody I've known for like 25, 30 years when she was studying as a filmmaker. in UCLA, I was studying in NYU, and we are working on some common issues as well. This is a wonderful movie. Shonali's done not that many films, but each film is very path-breaking in a lot of ways. A filmmaker that you should all look out for or look through her earlier work if you have not seen already. Uh, this film very interesting for the fact that it was dealing with the issue of sexuality and all of that integration in mainstream society of the differently able, that they have exactly the same aspirations, desires like anybody else. We assume that they don't. It is a very unfair thing to do. So this was a film which highlighted this particular aspect, and for that reason it was a very, very well made movie, and certainly very, very gripping and very updated kind of way of doing things. It was funded by, I think, NFDC, so hats off, that's a government organization, so wonderful to see that. Now so we are kind of done with that. There one two let's see which one is the next one, please. I think it's a poster from the same film. Yeah, Iqbal was again a very good movie. So Vash Ghai, mainstream director, decided to produce this a very small budget kind of movie, which was again very nice. And the budget for this was less than what they spend in song sequences in some of the mainstream movies. So that was wonderful. B, it used very unknown persons, so it was very path-breaking for that reason. C, it was dealing with physical disability, but pointing out that physical disability doesn't mean that people are disabled in every manner. It could be that they are very, very physically very, very superior to everybody else also. It is entirely possible. So in this case, if you're looking at somebody who's hearing impaired, does not mean that he cannot be a big time cricketer or whatever. So that was something which was very wonderful. This film took on, and it created a very wonderful story. It also had multiple layers. Nagesh Kuknur, who directed it, did a very sensitive job. So focusing not just on that, also focusing a bit on urban India, also focusing on this fact that the boys from a minority community, so that then village, and so within one film, multiple layers, the most prominent one being the issue of disability. So that was something very, very nice about the film. And yeah, so we look at the next slide, please. I think this is also from this Margarita Vitstra. I think some of the slides have got mixed up. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, this is from that. We have already discussed this. Let's look at this. So as you can see, this film got fair amount of rotation in a lot of the and honors in some of the top festivals. Toronto International Film Festival, which is one of the big 4 film festivals of the world. That is where it was, I think, screened first, and other awards that you are seeing here. So yeah, let's look at the next slide, please, Jasmine. This is again from those previous movies. I think this is from Houseful that we had looked at earlier, dealing with making fun of the visually impaired. So yeah, and the very fact that they made 3, 4, sequels and all of that shows that how well it went down. Despite all the cringy elements, it went down very well with the audiences of India, sadly. So yeah, let's look at the next slide, please. Yeah, so these are films I have done. I work, and I don't do any non-fiction work. I don't do any fiction at all. My work is all non-fiction. Sorry, it's very, very tiny here. There's a panoramic poster. But yes, this particular film was produced by UNESCO Paris. And this we had shot with about 24 artists in Singapore, all of them performing artists. And this person you're seeing, you may be familiar with him. His name is Tony D. He's a singer based in Australia. He was the voice of the London Paralympics. So a very famous singer. He's well known in a lot of places, has a bit like Frank Sinatra kind of singing style. If you look him up, you can find a lot of material about him. So he was, this is the film I had done about these people. And next slide, please. The last slide we have is next one. Yeah. This was a film I had done about Sarthak itself. And both these people are visually impaired, as you can see. And forget, I think the person's name at the back is called Trikesh. He's the person who had taught Dr. Jitendra Agarwal how to use computer. So he has a very strong connect with Sarthak. And the lady in front is from Nepal. Her name is Sita. She was trained, and I think she went into doing medical transcript work in the BPO industry. So this was a story about that. Again, a non-fiction documentary. So yeah, so this is what we have here to look at. Sunilji, would you like me to tell you anything else
No,
that I
thank
may
you.
have missed?
No, thank you very much, Vijayji. It was wonderful, and the way you highlighted sensitivity of media and movie making, how it can be exploited rightly or wrongly to impact society. And I think this gives a message to the world as that we have to be sensitive towards Divyangjan uh, and give the correct message through media, through movies, and all through our communications. And that is the right thing. And misusing it for the sake of fun is actually inappropriate. So thank you very much, Vijayji. And I have with me now Shilpi Sharma ji from Hilton HR. Shilpi ji, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm there. And I apologize for being a few minutes late.
No, it's fine. So Shilpi ji, I have a question from you. That you have been in hotel industry, a very large group, and leading HR, and also workplace safety and health. How you think organization like yours can create a safe and inclusive work environment for employees with disabilities, and what are the key challenges and how you deal with those? Over to you, Shilpi ji.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here. I think very esteemed panel and a very important discussion on how we have been dealing with this disability. One, I want to call it, it's not disability. It's actually, we put it across as something which is called as a specially abled. So Sunilji, we have in our hotels all across. I mean, gone are the days that you have a regular manpower who's coming and working. Now, as a part of diversity and inclusion, we invite team members from, let's say, Sarthak or other NGOs who can be on our regular manpower, and then they can work hand in hand with like us. So there is no differentiation as such. However, given the fact that some could be speech and hearing impaired, or some could be let's say any other specially abled deformity that they may have. So there are special avenues that we have created. One very, very important, and I put it and on the highest priority, is the awareness. Extremely important that because these are sensitive areas, people work in all different departments at the hotel. So the awareness among the regular team members that there is a specially able who will come and work with them is extremely important. For that, right from the orientation to about monthly trainings and about different sessions, and probably sessions like this where I'm invited today, these have been conducted on regular intervals, so that there is there's always an ongoing discussion and a ongoing topic which is always there. Oh, I have somebody who is specially able and working with me shoulder to shoulder. That's one. Definitely we have something very, very important. I think most of the hotels, they do, and some of the hotels, they really pioneered the system when we provide them special tags. So they do not say that I have some kind of a disability, but very very with a very proud this thing, they say that oh, I am specially able, I can read your lips, something of that sort. So we also have developed that in our system. Earlier, I don't think so that many hotels could thought of course, some hotels have really pioneered, as I just mentioned. Now I think most of the hotels have kind of created those inclusive environment. Probably at Hilton, what we do at specifically, I sit at Double Tree Bani here, we have created a specialized parking only for the person who comes with a a motorbike which has got 3 wheels. So this person beautifully works in the F&B restaurant, and he runs his own Om Ki Chai, a special corner, gets a valued feedback from a guest. They recognize him by whom he is. So they are not somebody who would stand out of the crowd, but they are within us. However, with the kind of environment that we have created at our hotels, definitely it is among diversity and inclusion, and we really live this word diversity. That's what we have brought, and inclusion that we are doing with them. So right from the awareness sessions to different, name tags that has been given to them, uh, different kind of same activities, which probably I'll do it, they will also do it, depending upon, where they are and which department they're performing. We have these people in food and beverage services. We have these people making guest rooms in housekeeping. We have these people, probably at the back area in kitchen stewarding, laundry, linen, you name the department at front office. They may not say something, but at times, the beautiful smile might just be the kick on for a guest who's coming to the hotel. And yeah, things like created a specialized parking for them. So this is where some of the I think um, some of the ways that we have tried and incorporated diversity and inclusion in the hotel. Last but not the least, it might sound, is there a challenge? But I don't think so that it is challenging. In fact, this was about 2-3 days back. We have been in regular touch with Sarthak. I have been associated with Sarthak for about close to 10 years now. So I know, visiting your center, understanding the sign language, being able to, kind of interact with our own people, understanding and using the sign language have been some of the beneficial things at the hotel.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shilpi ji. That is very, well explained and well narrated. And if I may add to what you're saying, also coming from corporate sector, that actually inclusiveness is not an option today. Inclusiveness is a necessity of organization, and it actually enhances performance. It actually enhances work ambience. It actually enhances performance of the business. It actually positions business to closer to society, because we are part of society and the cross section of society is present there. So wonderful, Shilpi ji. We also have with us today, luckily, we just heard Vijay ji, and we have student of Vijay ji, Mohit Majeti, with us, who is Divyang Jan, but who is an internationally acclaimed photographer and who recently won award at the International Olympics, pardon me. And though being Divyang Jan from birth, he has achieved wonderfully. He's IIT Kharagpur, pass out. He has done he has won several awards nationally and internationally in photography. And I will ask Mohit, can you please explain us how, Mohit, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So Mohit, first of all, congratulations to you. You have brought proud to the nation, proud to the Sarthak, and proud to this, whole society and community of ours. And tell us how you could overcome various challenges which you came across, and how you see this as an opportunity for other Divyangjan to pursue.
Yes, sir, sure. Thank you for all the wishes, and thank you for such a nice introduction of me. So I would like to tell this like a story. Maybe I'll start with my the way how my photography journey started. So as you mentioned, I studied in IIT Kharagpur, and I was exploring my hobbies back then because I used to have a lot of free time in college, and I joined these photography clubs, and slowly I developed interest in it. And so that's the place where I picked up my hobby as a photography, and that's how it started. Back in 2017, Sarthak and I approached IIT Kharagpur saying that there is a regional competition called Olympics going on. I was not even aware of what is Olympics, what is this competition and all. I just know that there is some photography competition. They want me to come and participate in Kolkata. So back then I went there and I participated. Luckily, I got a gold medal there, and that's my first interaction with the Olympics team there. And winning the gold there made me eligible to participate in National Olympics, which happened in 2018 at Delhi. So that's the place where I got to know that this event is a huge event. This is not a small event. And the way that they took care of me, they used to provide me trainings before every competition. And that's where I realized, okay, there is a lot of skill gap. This is a huge competition. This is going to be a very big one. So I need a lot of practice for this. And that's when I took things very seriously about photography. And all the trainings helped me a lot. When I won a bronze medal back in 2018, that made me eligible to participate in the International Olympics. Which actually should happen in 2020, I should say. But due to COVID and due to Russian war and all, it got postponed. And I participated at International Olympics in France, which happened happened in 2023 in France. And talking about this, I want to add, I am living in France already, and from last 10 months. So it is a kind of what is a coincidence that this competition is happening already here and I'm already here. And the most interesting thing is, during these 3 years, Sarthak or Nai did not leave me behind, even though I'm not in India, or in the time I'm in India. They provided me continuous trainings, and Vijay sir is my coach during all these years. So it was a wonderful journey. And talking about few challenges I faced during the practice of this competition or during this competition is what I would say is, the first thing, as I moved to France, everything has to happen virtually for me, the training and all. And Vijay sir has used to take Zoom sessions, normal calls, WhatsApp calls. He used to send me the assignments we used to do. I used to go out, and sometimes it was a challenge to get these environments where I can practice this photography and all. But yeah, it somehow we managed to do it. And when it comes to challenges, to talk about the disability challenges or something, I would say I'm lucky enough that none of my disabilities stopped me from doing this. But yeah, I saw the people participating in the competition. People do photography sitting in wheelchairs. People use their walking sticks, but nothing is stopping them. It is like you can do anything and everything. What I would say is, people should visit such competitions to get the encouragement. I mean, visiting such competitions would show how people can grow themselves, not just the people with disability, but even the normal people. Today, if we see the general ideology in India, a painter, a carpenter, or a mechanic, or a car mechanic, these are the professions which people see not as a mainstream professions. They see, okay, these are a lower category professions. You do either be an engineer or a doctor. These are the main two professions what people do in India. But when you visit such competitions, you can see how valued these skills are. So I would say everyone should definitely visit such competitions to get encouragement. And also, my future plans is that I want to make myself visible in other competitions, in open category competitions. And I want to grow myself, win more awards, and not just winning awards. I want to increase my portfolio, and I want to improve my photography. But I always wanted to keep it as my hobby, or my second skill, not as a mainstream profession. And one message I would like to give to all is that please don't stop anything in the middle. I'm the very biggest example. 3 years, 4 years of commitment is not a small time, but we did not lose hope. We kept on practicing continuously, and I would say, after winning the medal, the recognition or the appreciation I got from the people outside or here anywhere is like, you cannot imagine. People, newspaper people call you up and ask you for appointments, and people from a lot of places, politicians keep messaging you that, oh wow, congrats, we would like to do this for you, we would like to do this for you, do you want to do a job, what do you do, can we do anything for you? there is a lot of appreciation, lot of recognition coming towards you. So I would say, please do invest enough amount of time and don't lose your hope. Keep on doing this, and one day you will just light your like a star.
Wonderful, wonderful, Mohit. You have achieved really great honor for everyone, for country, and your message goes like an opportunity for all others, or all other Divyangjan and all other youngsters who have possibility to follow your path. So I would also now, quickly go through panelists once again, maybe 1 minute each, to get a message on workplace health and safety in particular domain. Vijayji, would you please, what would be your message for media world and movie world in terms of seeing Divyangjan as opportunity and creating workplace accessibility, safety and health, considering that in their work environment?
Well, I think number one, as we looked at some of these movies, movies which have done very well, and they happen to be with mainstream actors, mainstream producers, and we're also very, very sensitive about dealing with the issue without making it into a very boring, preachy kind of thing. So it is entirely possible to make very, very entertaining, be it comedy or serious, whatever kind of film, which happen to have people who are facing some kind of physical or mental issues, and you can still make a good film out of it. It can be a funny film. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's, and what is happening is just that we are doing this, as I mentioned, if you look at that mainstream film, Koshish, made in 1972 with the biggest of stars and director of that time, they're doing that. So we are talking about, 50, 60 years back, we could do it. So there's no reason why we cannot do it now, number one. Number two, while we are seeing Bollywood, and Bollywood seeks to be more and more as a soft power of India, we are going places, we are getting awards in the biggest of festivals and awards outside Oscar this year, for example. So it is very important that we do not do anything which is, insensitive, because these are things which have a very big negative ripple effect all over the world. So this can hurt your bottom line if it comes across to people. It's like some actors found to be engaging in some sexual harassment that can completely destroy your career. And similarly, it's like this. If you're making a movie and you have done something which is like this kind of thing, these Houseful and whatever else we have looked at, then your international following can just disappear overnight. So they have to be very sensitive about their own prospects, forget about other things. So for that reason, and obviously for a very ethical reason, they need to look at it differently. And just as we are getting technology from overseas, look at, there are a lot of wonderful films being made overseas using this as an issue. One thing we all forget very, very easily, and this was, I remember many years back, I was in Washington, D.C., and there's some, on this issue, you had some expert, and that lady said something very interesting. She said that, if you think of it, from the time you're born till about, say, age of 18 or so, until you become adult, you are dependent on other people. And similarly, once you hit 60, after that, again, you're dependent on some other people. So, typically your family members and all of that. So just between whatever 18 and 61, like almost like a third of your life, or whatever, one part which is like that, is where you are so-called free. And for us to be so arrogant, insensitive, is just the most unbelievable and the most unacceptable thing when you think of it, So that is my central message, if at all you would call it that let's, for our own sake, for their sake, for your sake of your global audiences that you are seeking in the mainstream movies and all of that, please invest a little bit more in better stories and better, better messages and everything else, Thank you.
Thank you, Vijayji. And that gives a right message that discrimination and sensitivities have to be kept in mind. And, business can also be done in an ethical manner. And, media holds also responsibility, not just the doing job. So Shilpi ji, hospitality and hotel industry is so huge, and you are one of the key. You are holding portfolio with one of the key, brand. So in terms of workplace health and safety and opportunity for this whole industry, what would be your message?
Yeah, thank you, Sunilji. I think my last few points over here, and kind of a key takeaway from this entire session, and maybe a message to this community. I think our arms are open. I still see, at times we feel together sitting at this part of the, chair. There's a little reluctancy that, oh, will I be able to do it? Will it be successful for me? Will I be able to be as normal as I can? The answer is yes. Why not? And this is where, when us as hoteliers, hospitality world, when we have opened our arms and we give you that kind of a platform, be it by sensitizing our current manpower, our resources, and welcoming, creating those avenues and opportunities where we welcome you wholeheartedly. Why not? So take away that hesitation, shed that kind of probably a shyness, come over, be with us, work hand in hand, be shoulder to shoulder, and we are there as a part of diversity and inclusion. That's my message to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Shilpi ji. That's a wonderful message. And I'll come to our third panelist. Mohit, you have anything to sum up?
No, what I would just say is the same thing. Please don't lose hope. And what I would ask Sarthak or Nai is, please not just training people, they should also get an encouragement. So if there is a possibility, if there is, I would say them to make people visit such competitions so that they get the encouragement. People should see it first, only then they get encouraged, than just maybe it's way easier to convince them after showing things to them. So that's what I would say them. Yeah.
Thank you, Mohit, and thank you all the people from all over joining us through media. And now I keep this session open for Q&A. Jasmine ji, if you can help with any questions coming in.
No such major questions, sir. Majorly regarding job only and the services that we are providing. They have already been answered.
Okay, very good. So, this is to further, sum up today's panel discussion. We had a wonderful panel of Mohit, Shilpi ji, and Vijay ji, and they have touched upon different aspects of, the different aspects of challenges and opportunities, and considering health and safety at workplace, and how this domain is exploited in the right way, in the right interest of of the society. Now, I would say that like Sarthak is an NGO, is a large NGO nationwide and now internationally present in UK, as well as going to be present in US soon. So we are having several centers in almost every key city of the country, where we do skill development and empowerment and employment of Divyangjan. We also have early intervention centers where we identify disability at a very early age and help. And all this is absolutely free of cost, because we try to serve the people who are who need help, and there is no fees or charges involved. So we would like you to refer any such cases to us, and we would engage with them. At the same time, Sarthak is also involved in giving sensitivity training to corporates and various companies in terms of their them being culturally sensitive toward Divyangjan, so that the acceptance is good and the organization can integrate Divyangjan in their mainstream. So in terms of World Health and Safety Day being celebrated, I would say that most important thing for any organization or any domain is to create accessibility first. Once you have accessibility, then we have to focus on health and safety for Divyangjan. This actually creates inclusive workplace. And workplace has to be inclusive, not just accepting the Divyangjan, but also empowering them. And making it truly inclusive always makes a business organization better performing and better sustainable. So it is in interest of business, it is in interest of society that we be inclusive, we work towards better safety and health, and consider our largest resource of 10 to 12% of people who are Divyangjan, to bring them in mainstream, to integrate them with us, with everyone, so that it is not between, there is no difference, and we utilize the abilities rather than looking at disabilities. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you very much panelists. Thank you Jasmine and Sarthak team for support. And with this, I close today's session, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you everyone for
everyone.
joining.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megha. Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you.